So anyone who is going to be abusive is going to act like they love you. But with a covert narcissist, things are a little bit more difficult to detect because the abuse is covert. And this really speaks to what I've referred to as death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's subtle abuse that happens and builds up over time, but it really has an effect on you. And you don't realize until you're out how much it really did affect you. Especially since along with all those little paper cuts, there are going to be some much bigger wounds too. So let's dive into 5 reasons why covert abuse or abuse by a covert narcissist feels like love. So the first reason, it happens really early on. You think there's something genuine behind their love bombing. The idealization, it feels real. And when they come back and they're giving you a faux apology and they're saying that they're going to change, it feels real. Or even if they're not saying they're going to change, the desperation to get you back, it feels so intense. It feels like there's no way this person does not have genuine feelings. And here's the deal. They do have genuine feelings, but those feelings are not what you think, and they're not what they want you to think. What they're feeling is a desperation for supply. They need you to adore them. It's not the other way around. And unfortunately, they know exactly what to do and what buttons to push to get you into that state because they've probably done it hundreds of times before. But if you've been through this, what always comes next? It's the devaluation phase. A covert narcissist specifically feels much more victimized by the world than their grandiose counterparts. So they feel like the world has kept them down. You have kept them down. So they're not going to want to see you happy for too long. So when you're in the place and you're eating all of this love bombing attention up, it's not going to be long before they start to knock you down and devalue you. They will put you up on a pedestal only to knock you down. And unfortunately, our minds don't really work that way. So we don't necessarily think to look out for this. We don't think that somebody that we love or somebody that we think loves us is going to build us up only to knock us down. But that is exactly what a narcissist will do. And if you've been in this kind of relationship, you know, you've experienced it. And it happens in so many different ways. But the idealization, the love bombing to devaluation is one way that you will always find with a narcissist. So another reason why the abuse feels like love is because of intermittent reinforcement. And this happens when there's inconsistent affection and abuse. So you don't know when you're going to get which side of this person. You don't know when that other shoe is going to drop. You just know that it's going to after some time. And so you're always chasing that positive reinforcement. You're always chasing their approval. And they're really good at getting you to feel like the devaluation, like those moments when they're incredibly cold or mean to you. They say things that nobody should say to another person, much less somebody they claim to love. They're really good at getting you to believe that those are the moments when they're not being themselves, when they were just in a bad mood or made a mistake, or even if you're in a situation where there was infidelity. Again, they're very good at getting you to believe that that was just a mistake. It was a one-time thing. It won't happen again. I realize the error of my ways, and I will never again do anything to jeopardize our relationship, at least not until next week. But when things are good, they're good. And if you landed in a relationship like this, there's a good chance that you're used to this type of intermittent reinforcement. And there's a good chance that you might relate it to love. So somewhere in there, somewhere in your subconscious, this is familiar to you. You may feel a sense of nostalgia for this type of relationship, but that's not because it's good or healthy. It's just because it's familiar. If you've experienced this type of intermittent reinforcement from your caregivers early on, the people who loved you or were supposed to love you, then it's going to be natural for you to relate to this intermittent reinforcement as a form of love. So another reason why covert abuse so often feels like love is because it's that way by design. A covert narcissist is much more likely to apologize. than their overt counterparts or grandiose counterparts. So you won't always necessarily get an apology from a covert narcissist, but there are some who actually rely heavily on the apology to help them get away with whatever behavior they want. So this apology, again, just like the idealization or the love bombing, it feels sincere. And you want to believe them. Naturally, you want to believe them because you want this to work. But you want to believe them also because it feels so sincere. You're feeling, when they're coming back and apologizing to you, you're feeling the sense of loss that they're feeling. But again, it doesn't mean what you want it to mean. It doesn't mean the same thing you think it does. There is a sense of loss. They have lost your supply. Narcissists are not good at regulating themselves at their own emotional state because they're so out of touch with so much of their emotions. So when they don't have supply that they can use to help them regulate, that they can use to support this false sense of self that they have, then they're going to feel like they're reeling, they're spiraling out of control. And there might be a sense of desperation there. But while you will want to attribute that desperation to get you back because of who you are and because of how amazing you are and the connection you have with this person, unfortunately, that is not what's going on here at all. So when the covert narcissist is coming around with a faux apology, really what they're saying is, I'm sorry that I lost this supply, or I'm sorry that I got caught, and I'm going to do or say anything I can to get back to where I need to be right now for me. So another reason why the covert narcissist's abuse feels like love is because the covert narcissist specifically is really good at faking empathy until they're not. So you may find a covert narcissist in a position where empathy is really important. So you might find a covert narcissist as a pastor at the church, or they might be a therapist or a social worker. The covert narcissist likes to play on empathy, but they do not have as much empathy as they would have you believe. Depending on where they fall on the spectrum, they may have a little, or they may have almost none, but either way, they're usually pretty good at faking it when they want to. And so often because of the person's position, you may think, well, they must be empathetic because they wouldn't have gotten to where they are if they are not empathetic, if they're not a good person. So automatically there, if someone is in a position of power or in a position where you would expect them to be empathetic, you're going to have a preconceived notion about who they are and what they're like. And so you're not likely to question their empathy. But also, even if someone is not in a position like this, we're not really in the habit of questioning people's empathy unless it really comes off as strange, off, or fake. So there may be times in this relationship, especially early on, when this person shows empathy and things seem a little off, and your intuition is lighting up and it's saying, there's something wrong here. But because we're not used to questioning people's empathy, we just let it go. And it's usually not until you are in dire need of someone's empathy, of someone's emotional support, that you realize that that person is truly lacking. Because if they don't have anything to gain in that moment by providing the emotional support that they very much know how to provide, it just doesn't come naturally to them. They don't see a reason for them to support you. If you catch a covert narcissist in this position, and in a relationship, eventually you will notice how deficient they truly are in empathy. But again, this isn't something that happens right away. And it's something that when it happens in small doses, we tend to brush it off. Like, oh, they were having a bad day. We tend to make excuses for people because we want people to be kind to us and give us the benefit of the doubt. So sometimes we brush things off that maybe we shouldn't. So another reason why the covert narcissist's abuse feels like love is because of the intensity behind it. And I've talked a little bit about this with love bombing and with the faux apology. But ultimately, because of the intensity, you feel like this relationship is a roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster. But the highs are so high that you feel like this person must love you. And even though you know on some level that it's dysfunctional, you feel like maybe you could fix this person, you could fix the relationship, but you don't want to get out because the highs are so high and because the love part of it feels so intense. And again, I'll say it one more time, it is intense, but it's not what you think it is. So if you're ready to dig deeper into that, I have a video where I talk about a pretty surprising twist behind the love bombing phase. And this video may help you finally get some closure. So go ahead and watch that right now.